Hello everyone, and welcome to our Talk and Play podcast, where we talk about serious and not so serious subjects while we play retro video games.
Yes, and today we'll be talking about the LGBT community and just kind of like the whole history of starting from it being outlawed to current day.
So without further ado, let's blow your knowledge load. So in honor of Pride Month, if you didn't know, Pride Month is the month of June. I didn't know that.
I didn't know it was a whole month.
Yeah, so we have quite a few gay friends.
Oh yeah, like in the volleyball community, there's a large gay population actually, and so yeah, we have a lot of friends in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
That I play volleyball with all the time.
I have a ex-girlfriend that I helped her come out to her family. That was a weird experience for me.
You were right there when she did it? Oh wow. Okay.
Helping her through it is kind of the reason why we weren't together anymore. But
yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Yeah, so we have a lot of love for the LGBT community, and we've talked about it beforehand, and way back in the day, like a year or so ago. But so in honor of this month, we thought that we would go through some of the history, some of the science behind it, and where we're kind of currently sitting. So a lot of this is going to be around North America, just because that's where we're from, and then that's kind of where we hear about everything. So one thing interesting we found out, we wanted to find out what the history of the Pride Month was, and what we ended up finding was it was based on a 1969 what would you call it, a demonstration protest.
It was kind of an event that happened in 1969 that led to the forming of kind of like rights activists in the LGBT community. So it was like it kind of started in the U.S. in 1969. So there's this place in Manhattan, New York, called Stonewall Inn, and it was essentially a bar that was run by the mafia that accepted all different types. Like we're talking about, like, obviously anybody, open gays, transgenders, people, like obviously criminals, because it was run by the mob. So they kind of accepted a lot of people. And in 1969 there was a raid by the police, where, like, I guess we should preface this by saying that up until, I think, 1969, being homosexual was illegal in the United States.
Yeah, it was. I think it was something in 1952. There was an official bill that was passed, and one of those bills was that homosexuality and homosexual acts was illegal in the United States at the level of the Supreme Court. And you could be arrested for it, for being gay or performing acts of homosexuality. And
are you gonna throw a snowball at him?
Yeah. that kind of led to this whole thing with the protests, because people were getting arrested all the time. There was nowhere for them to go, and the demonstration, from what I understand, was violent against the police. It was kind of a historical event. And it was kind of pushed along because there was a lot of different, what would you call that, advances going on, I guess. A lot of protests for, like, women's rights and black rights and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it was something that was needed, and oh my god.
Yeah, and then it was like after that big incident happened, that's when a lot of the big rights groups started forming.
Yeah.
And then, like, really fighting for rights in the LGBT community. And so that was kind of one of the big, well, I guess that's kind of where the really the start of the movement for rights. And then obviously now we start looking at current times, and some events that happened. Like, one thing that we were kind of looking at is I'm sure a lot of people in the LGBT community know about the shooting at in 2016 at Pulse nightclub in Orlando, Florida. And so that was, I think it's like 44 people were killed and another 53 people were injured.
Yeah, no, that was...
So that was like a huge event in the gay community, like awful.
And originally, from what we were reading and researching, he had stated it was because of the bombing of Iraq, correct?
Yeah, it was just all like the U.S. occupation in Iraq and then bombing in there. And there was one of the leaders, I think, of, I don't know, whatever was going on over there in Iraq.
ISIS?
Yeah, I think it was ISIS. Or ISIL? I think that. Anyways, he was killed, and this was kind of like a in protest of that happening, and then like to tell them to get out of the country and stop bombing their people or whatever.
But then it was discovered later on that he was a regular there, and had done some things with same-sex partners. And his family had a super huge problem with it, and there was something that had happened with him and his family that day where did they call him gay? I can't.
So
remember
yeah, from like the article that we're reading, it sounded like his like, and he was married at the time too to a woman. Mm-hmm. But his dad and family believed he was gay, and I think his dad even called him gay. And so it almost sounds like this was kind of like a revenge or trying to prove that he's not gay, and kind of just saying, "Oh, I'm not gay. I'll go kill all these gay people because I'm not gay." Which, yeah, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of a really sad thing that happened in the community itself. Just like being hate on, specific, like you shouldn't be hate on for anything. Like your ethnicity, your race. Well, I guess those are kind of the same thing, but your religion, your sexual orientation, like that's. I mean, those are things that really nobody should be discriminated based upon. And never mind, like that's a whole attack on a whole population of people in the LGBT community, and especially when they're fighting for, their rights for how long, and then you still have things like that happening.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
They've been through so much stuff. Like in North America here, gay rights and everything is pretty progressive. I think it could get better yet, but there are other countries where it's still legal, where they can be killed.
Yeah, especially like a lot of Middle Eastern countries. That is, you see that. But like, I mean, we say we're more progressive, but even having said that, gay marriage wasn't even legal in Canada until 2005.
And we're one of the more progressive ones. We were the fourth country?
I think we were the fourth. There was like Netherlands, Belgium. I can't remember the other one. But yeah, we were like the fourth country to make gay marriage legal in 2005. That is quite recent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like, yeah, if we're talking about other, you hear about other marginalized groups, I would say that they're definitely one of the most marginalized. You gotta go top left, and there's one in the top right. Like that's, we like to say we're progressive, but that's still pretty bad.
It is.
Like in 2005, that's, I mean, it's good though that we're making these steps forward. And I mean, that's kind of what, Pride is all about. It's the whole month they're, that was a bad idea. They're going for their rights. Wow, it looked like you murdered yourself on purpose there.
In terms of Canada, though, so when Greenwich was going on, that's where that big protest was happening. That year, Canada had actually made homosexuality, they decriminalized it. And I'm proud to live in a country that actually did that, because the United States didn't do that until 1991. So until 1991, even if you were bisexual and you happened to kiss someone of the same sex, you could be arrested for that, and that's terrible. There's still a lot of movements that's going on. One of the things that we kind of did want to talk about is this whole choice thing, and we were looking up what's the chemical makeup, or what's the differences between
no! God, I just wanted the end.
The differences between somebody who is of the LGBT and somebody who is not. And there actually is some DNA differences, some genetics that play into that. I can't remember how many people. It was 150,000 people or something like that.
They took a pretty, I think it was 400,000. They took a pretty large sample size, and then with that sample size, they did some genetic testing, and I believe they said that they found 4 genetic variants that are more prominent in people who are, or I guess responded in the survey or whatever, that they had same-sex partners.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like a big step for researchers in finding, like, they often call it the gay gene, like looking for the gay gene, and before they really had nothing promising up until that study. That seemed to be a really big study for researchers, which, I mean, I don't like, as far as, I don't know if that is something that the LGBT community would be happy about, or like they would respond positively and think that's a good thing, finding, something in your genetic makeup that makes you that way. I don't know if they would care, if they would be offended by that, or if they would be cool with that. I'm honestly not sure. If there's anybody out there in the community that would be directly affected by that, let us know what you think specifically about that, because obviously we're both heterosexual, so we can't just go around saying, oh yeah, that'd be a great thing or that'd be a bad thing, because it doesn't affect us.
Yeah.
So if there's anybody out there that it does affect, let us know, because I mean, obviously there's plenty of areas that we can get more educated on, because seeing as we're not in the LGBT community, there's only so much that we can know ourselves and be educated on as well. But one other thing that I'd actually like to talk about is, like, it kind of goes along with the marriage thing, is how, like, I know a lot of religious groups have been really bad for the LGBT community, because they're really kind of outright against homosexuality. And so they get, like, a lot of religions, they don't even really allow homosexuals in the religion. They don't marry them at all. Mm-hmm. Up until recently, honestly, it was kind of taught that that's like one group that you oppose. Like, I'm speaking specifically from like the Catholic religion, where that's kind of like it was kind of taught that like our religion is against homosexuality, and we've talked about it many times before, the new Pope being really progressive. And I think that's one great thing. Another great thing that he's doing is, like, he is way more accepting of the gay community. Like, he's had well, I guess in the article we read, they were talking about he's had hosted in the Vatican gay people, transgender people. He promotes that, they're still people too, and God made you that way, and we should love you all the same, and I totally get behind that.
Yeah, I love that he said that. Just
like, the church is known for being really traditional and old school, and it's really hard to get new ideas into the church because of that.
Yeah. So yeah, like when he said, God made you this way, so he loves you this way, and that's the way that he wants it, and I found that so great. And the churches, a lot of them obviously still don't support it, and that's because I truly do think it's because, like you said, the church people can be very conservative.
And the church is really notorious for being very conservative in their views, and they don't like changing things. Like, even like church was opposed to a lot of science, honestly, up until recently with the new Pope. Where they're against a lot of scientific findings and proving things with science, which, I mean, that just seems super naive. But like, they're making good strides toward it, and I think, like, being accepting of the LGBT community in the religion, I think is a really good step to take as well. Because I mean, like, why spread if you're trying to promote love, loving everybody, love your neighbor, how can you also promote hating a whole community of people that really it's not a choice.
Yeah.
That's just how they are. And like, so how can you promote hate like that if you're also trying to promote love. So that's another reason why I love the new Pope, is that he's very progressive.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the church needs. They need somebody with those ideas. And I love how now I've just turned into talking about religion.
But at the same time, it is a big part of this.
Because they like the LGBT community has been persecuted so long by the church, and I think that being accepted everywhere is a really great start.
Realistically, we've made some very, very promising. That's a really bad one.
I think there's more barrels over there. They recharge.
It's been a very progressive time in the last 10-15 years, and it has been great for the community. And I think in the future we'll have some more progression, hopefully. I mean, the state seems to be going a little bit backwards at the moment.
I mean, like the pride parades are a great way. You're spreading awareness of the LGBT community and spreading acceptance of it. So I think those are great things to have.
Yeah.
And some places are really pushing it. Like they want to they want to have the biggest pride parade. They want to make it like a huge event. And
Yeah.
I think that's great that there's so many places now that are really promoting it. Just like as an acceptance thing. Like I couldn't imagine what it would be like, something that you can't change, whether it's race, whether it's sexual orientation, whatever, just like not being accepted by people just because of something you can't control. I mean, like that's any kind of discrimination, like talking about really.
I mean, there's something personal even for me, like just even a little bit where people find me weird. I can't imagine what you guys go through. Like for me, a transgender woman, if she was pretty and whatnot, I probably would date that person. And I know other people who have said to me, well, that's pretty gay. Not really. If they think they're a woman on the inside and look like a woman on the outside, what's the difference? That's my own personal opinion. Like, we've had that conversation before.
Probably, yeah.
When I was doing online dating, I was like, yeah, okay, I would date you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't tell the difference between you and an actual, or not an actual, or a biological woman, born biologically. So what's the difference? But other people will say, well, that makes you a little bit, But
yeah.
But then that's when I start thinking, if something that small that I say can go against other people's beliefs and cause issues, then God, all the power to you guys. And yeah, but I think that's about it.
Yeah, I mean that's what we want to talk about. Just I don't know, help spread awareness. Maybe give some insight on the history, like the whole history of their rights, and I don't know.
So
just something we want to talk about.
Yeah. I guess that's it, and we'll see you next time. Happy Pride.
Happy Pride. See you later.
Bye.